Hey, what is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday and welcome to Energy Shift Day. If you don't know me, my name is Erin and I am a multi-certified nutritionist, personal trainer, functional health practitioner. I help mostly women. I have a few male clients as well, but I help mostly women understand why their bodies act the way that they do to reach their health and wellness goals, have more energy, show up better for themselves and for their families, and improve their body composition if that is a goal that you have. So, these episodes weekly are all about you and for you. So, if you ever have a topic you want me to go over, whether it is mindset, I do have both my education from college as well as a certification in mindset and behavioral psychology. So that is something that I bring into my coaching as well, because we know that, our brains and our bodies need to match when it comes to wellness. And if they don't, we end up with a disconnect. So if you ever have anything that you want me to chat about, when it comes to any of that stuff, nutrition, exercise, sleep, rest, mindset, please feel free to shoot me a message or comment on any one of my videos. Shoot me a follow request, whatever the case may be. I would love to chat with you and figure out what would help you reach your goals and or feel better, have more energy, sleep better, which is the name of the game today. We're going to talk about sleep, which it's actually kind of ironic that Katie brought up sleep today. Katie suggested this topic, and it's always a good one. Sleep hygiene is at the highest level of importance when it comes to your overall health and wellness goals. It kind of lives side by side with nutrition. And obviously, in mom life, it can be a thing that is challenging with younger children, and it can be a challenge as we enter the later stages of our 30s and into our 40s and beyond, when we're entering perimenopause and menopause, and then postmenopause. A lot of women have trouble either falling asleep, staying asleep, or just overall sleep quality. So I'm going to talk about some natural ways that you can achieve better sleep almost immediately. What are some things that you shouldn't do, and kind of my story, because sleep is actually at the peak of everything that is the most foundational for me in my wellness goals. And the reason why is because I have suffered from insomnia for most of my life. And what I didn't know in my younger days, which it wasn't as big of a problem as things aren't in my 20s, but then as I reached my mid 30s and now I'm 42, it really puts a damper on my ability to show up as a business owner, my ability to show up with my family, my ability to show up as a, somebody who takes their health and wellness seriously, like getting my workouts in, getting my walks in, all of that stuff. And so I am very, very serious about sleep routines and sleep management. And I have all of the gimmicks and gadgets. So if we don't get into something today and you have a question about a supplement you've seen online, or like I had the grounding sheet, I have had all of the things, and I'm glad to share what has worked for me and what hasn't worked for me. I'm going to go over a little bit of that today, but mostly want to just give you some tips and tricks that will help. Because Dominique just said she's so tired today. Sleep is such a huge struggle, and especially like we have to get through our day. We have to, get the kids off to school, and now it's summer or summer camp, whatever the case may be. We got to get to work, and it's really hard to prioritize ourselves, especially when we feel run down and tired all day. So there's some things that you can start implementing almost immediately. I'm going to go over some supplements that are known to help you relax and get into that like rested state for more quality sleep, and some things that you may be doing that are hindering your sleep that you can work work your way out of and or assess for your lifestyle and see if there's some modifications that you might need to make, okay? So first things first, we're going to talk about overall sleep quality for like setting yourself up for success. Number one thing that a lot of us are doing, especially at the end of the evening, is scrolling. A lot of scrolling is happening. I am guilty of it, and I have re-weaned myself off of it because I know that it affects me greatly. I work online. And so for me, it's like I need to disconnect from my business, from conversations I'm having, but I also need the time to make sure that my circadian rhythm is set up. And when we're scrolling on the phone, especially apps like TikTok, where it's like constantly feeding us the next post, instead of, Facebook is like that, but it isn't as engaging. And I feel like I can get off Facebook a lot easier than TikTok, where it's like the next video I want to watch too. And then it knows I want to watch the 2 in a row. So it shows me the next one I want to watch. So we have to get off the phone and stop scrolling 1 to 2 hours before bed. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't like send a text message or, chat with somebody real quick, but ideally, keeping the screens away 1 to 2 hours before bed is going to set you up for better sleep success. And the reason why is because the scrolling creates a dopamine response. And it also is a blue light, which essentially signals to the brain that we're in sunshine. So you're producing cortisol and you're not producing melatonin correctly. A lot of us are deficient in vitamin D, and that is also part of this problem, is where our circadian rhythms are what are supposed to be our sleep-wake cycle. And you can think of that like sun rises, cortisol goes up, we're supposed to be awake and have energy, and then sun sets and we're supposed to produce melatonin, start to feel sleepy. And for a lot of us, it's a little bit backwards because we don't get enough vitamin D. We're not supplementing vitamin D. And I recommend that everybody who, especially you're in Phoenix this time of year, it's hot, or probably, unless you're like brave individuals are at the pool a lot or whatever the case may be, we're probably outside a little bit less than we would be in the months where it's cooler and nicer to be outside. So a D3 supplement and a magnesium supplement are huge helps to sleep. And what I would get is a magnesium glycinate or a magnesium complex that has glycinate in it. So a complex is going to be like a blend of different magnesiums, and a lot of them will help with muscle relaxing, getting you into that calm, ease state. And vitamin D and magnesium work symbiotically, I can say that word today, with each other. So you want to supplement both. So we're going to supplement vitamin D in the morning with your breakfast meal, and then supplement magnesium about 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed. That will help with the circadian rhythm cycle, as well as getting off the phone and lowering the lights in your house. So let's say like you put the kids to bed at 8 p.m. and then you go to bed at like 10 or 11 p.m. So as soon as you put the kids to bed, start lowering the lights in your house. If you have dimmers, that is perfect. If you don't, I would suggest like we have like a little side lamp in our bedroom, so it's not like the big overhead lighting. So we have just a soft light on when we're kind of winding down and getting ready to go to bed. So get that process started. That's going to signal to your body that it's time to start producing melatonin so that it will naturally fall asleep. You'll get sleepy, that kind of thing. Another thing you can do that's super simple is in the morning when you get up, for 5-10 minutes, have your coffee, whatever the case may be, outside. Get vitamin D, no sunglasses, straight into the eyeballs. And that's also going to signal to the body, like if you can do that almost immediately upon waking, if you just start thinking about creating this healthy cycle for yourself, like we're going to get light in the morning, we're going to reduce light in the evening so that our hormones are effective in producing our natural sleep cycles. And you can supplement that with I would suggest magnesium before supplementing with melatonin. And the reason why is that your body can stop producing melatonin naturally if you supplement it too frequently. It's something that I like to use on for emergency reasons, like if I'm super like wound up and I just need some like that extra sleep support, or I had to work late one night and I had screens on and I just need that like extra bump, I'll use melatonin. But I try to keep that like on a case by case basis, or cycle it. Like if I need to use it a lot for a couple weeks because there's a lot of things going on, then I'm going to cycle off of it so that my body gets used to producing its own melatonin again. And a lot of people do have weird reactions to supplementing melatonin. So if that's you, then magnesium and vitamin D are the way to go. Some other things that you can use are valerian root, L-theanine, and a liver support supplement, especially if you are somebody who wakes up at like 2 to 4 a.m. and can't fall back to sleep. Our liver, our whole bodies are on a cycle, right? There's circadian rhythm, and then there's the sleep cycle where we're like cycling through deep sleep, REM sleep, light sleep, and our livers are on a cycle as well throughout the cleansing process. And if we have some backup in our liver, and that could be from a lot of things. It can be from food, it can be from environmental factors, it can be from like free radicals, it can be from alcohol, it can be from just like the modern society that we live in. Our livers do get a little bit clogged. And so when I say liver cleanse, we're talking about natural supplementation. I don't recommend nor do any sort of cleansing type things. That's not the direction that I go in as far as approaching health and wellness. So a liver cleanse supplement is going to have supporting supplements for your liver, like milk thistle, or you can just get a milk thistle supplement. But Google it, or you can not Google it. You can get it on Amazon or any health food store. I usually just make sure that it usually has ashwagandha and those kinds of things in it too that help with some calm. Those things will help you to chill out and also get sleep through the night. And then if we're supporting our circadian rhythm, our body is in tune with what we want to achieve, the outcome we want to achieve. Now, I know that this is challenging, especially for parents, but having similar sleep-wake times as much as you can possibly control is highly imperative, especially if you are somebody who suffers from like waking up in the middle of the night or trouble, any sort of trouble falling asleep, especially because your body isn't used to a specific routine. And as we get older, our bodies are susceptible to stressors, and not sleeping is such a high stressor on the system. The body's going to try to adapt in a lot of different ways. One of them is food cravings, especially highly processed or sugary carbohydrates. So if you're not sleeping and additionally struggling with food cravings, that's why our bodies create like craving an energy source. We want something quick. It doesn't know that like that in your cabinet is, soda or cookies or fruit snacks or whatever the case may be, but that's going to be the first thing your brain goes to, because as soon as you have that, or like a sugary latte or coffee drink or something like that, you're going to get that like added boost of energy. And that is why. So we have to stop that cycle. And speaking of caffeine, we want none at least 8 hours before you go to bed. It takes about 8 hours for caffeine to leave the body. So my schedule it looks like this. We go to bed usually or go to sleep usually around 10 p.m. But we get into bed, and yes, we do watch TV, which isn't optimal, but it is our routine and we like it. And so I'm going to speak to what's optimal and then also like what's practical at the same time. I do put my phone down around 8 p.m. and I'm not going to look at it again until the next morning. So I make sure my alarm is set And I actually turn it over so that I don't, because if I see notifications popping up, I'm going to continue to want to look at them. It's just too dang tempting. So I set it down on my bedside table and actually put my, like, I have this big old Stanley cup. A lot of us have them. It's my emotional support water. Put that down in front of my phone so that, like, when I reach over, if I have that, like, phone reach, which is kind of like a thing that we just do by default now, an instinct, as opposed to, it's like it's become habitual. The water is in the way, but I've gotten so used to it that I don't worry about it. Like I said, we turn the low lamp on. We do watch TV. I'll take my sleep support supplements about an hour before I go to bed. And then we go to sleep at 10. And usually I wake up between 6:30 and 7 a.m. And that's every day of the week. On the weekends, I wish I could sleep in, but my body's gotten so used to this that usually it just wakes up naturally. Sometimes I can get like 7:15, but that is my general sleep wake cycle. And if you can get yourself into that mode, you're going to notice higher quality sleep, and you're going to notice more sleep longevity and more like REM sleep, more deep sleep, that kind of thing. That's highly important. Okay. And another thing that you can do is they call it time restricted fasting. And I know people have a reaction to the word fasting, and I want you to hang with me for a minute, because it isn't extreme in any capacity. And this isn't set up for, like, if you want to talk about fat loss, weight loss, that kind of thing, we could talk about that in a different conversation. But this is more set up for body cycles. So again, we've talked about the circadian rhythm. Your food, your body's digestive enzymes, all of that stuff should kind of align with that as well. And these are simple fixes. Okay. So time restricted fasting looks like you have a 10-hour window. It's not like a 4-hour window or whatever. You've heard that online before. You eat from like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, I know that this isn't perfect, and it's not going to work for every single person in every single family, but it will help. And I always say, if you're struggling in some capacity, especially with sleep, it's better and more ideal to make some sacrifices, even if you have to bring food somewhere with you, or you have to eat before you go to a game, or whatever the case may be, if you have later night activities. But let's just say you're eating from like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Your first meal is at 8, and be mindful of things like coffee creamer, whatever the case may be, because anything that contains calories. But your first meal is at 8, and your last meal or snack is at 6 p.m. And so then you have from 6:30, let's say, or like if you can try to have it done by 6, like you eat at 5, that's even more ideal. Your body has a longer period of time to rest and digest. That also can cause like the liver to wake up in the middle of the night, causing that 3-4 a.m. wake up. That can cause your digestive tract is doing that. And so it's a great way to implement like a more restricted eating protocol that will align your circadian rhythm. If you have a fat loss goal, it can work for that too, but it's not restrictive in any capacity. Like, you're not only eating for a 4-hour window a day and trying to get in as much food as possible. You have 10 hours to consume, enough protein, enough fiber, all of the nutrients that you need for the day. But then your body also has time to digest it, utilize it as it needs to, and get you into proper rest mode so that you can sleep through the night. All of these things, and you can, like, pick and choose which ones you want to try. If it's a lot, if it sounds overwhelming, like if you drink caffeine in the afternoon, that may be the first thing that you try to cut out. Switch it for something else. I used to be a diehard, like, go to Starbucks every afternoon girly. And Then I switched to Celsius, which wasn't better. It was cheaper, but it wasn't better. And I was having a caffeinated beverage sometime between 1 and 2 every single day. And I did notice when I stopped doing that, my sleep got a lot better. I only have caffeine for the most part. Like, again, there are exceptions to this rule. You don't have to live like a robot, but if you're experiencing a lot of sleep issues, playing with all of these things that I'm mentioning, getting your routine down that works for you and your family and your people is the most important and vital step. So you don't have to implement all of these things. We just have to start to like play with them and see what is going to work best for you. Some people can drink caffeine like right before they go to sleep and go to sleep just fine. I am not one of those people. I'm also somebody who is highly anxiety prone. And so I notice caffeine in my system if I have it later in the day. So for the most part, other than like some treats, like if we go out and grab a coffee on a Saturday, I have my caffeine at the beginning part of the day. I have 2 cups of coffee and a green tea, which green tea is great for gut health. So if you're having any gut health issues, just slight side tangent for a minute, drink green tea daily. That will help with that as well. But I have my coffee and green tea in the morning. And then sometimes like around noon, I have half of a Coke Zero. Usually I share it with my husband. There's minimal caffeine in that, but I stopped the lattes and I stopped the energy drinks. And it was hard for a little while I was working all of this out, especially if I was under rested. But I switched that for just a protein shake. And we talked about this stuff on last week's live. This is a Seek clear protein powder, and you just mix it with water, 22 grams of protein. And this one is fruit punch. It tastes just like juice. I just add ice, but it's not that like milky protein. But anyway, it's something that like gives me that refreshing vibe that I feel like I need, and sweet vibe in the afternoon for a pick-me-up that doesn't have caffeine in it and isn't going to affect my sleep cycles. Okay, so what do we have? We have supplementation, vitamin D in the morning, magnesium glycinate or a magnesium complex in the evening, L-theanine, valerian root, and a liver supplement with milk thistle. I want to mention that the liver support supplement can also be cycled. So if you notice improvement after taking 1 full bottle, take a break from it. And then if it comes back, you can cycle it back on again. It's not going to hurt anything, but in the interest of taking less stuff, which is always my goal too, is like supplementation is great, but we want to be able to like rely on our bodies to do what they're supposed to do also. So, and then melatonin if needed and if handled well by the body on a case-by-case basis. Getting sunshine first thing in the morning and turning the lights down in the house after you put the kids to bed and start winding down. Stop scrolling 1 to 2 hours before you go to bed, and try to, like, if you feel super anxious before you go to sleep, and you're watching TV, maybe try for a more chill, relaxing type, like comedy show, something along those lines. Our brains, I was watching this like really intense, it was very good show on Netflix this weekend, but it was super graphic. I like true crime-y. I guess it wasn't true, but it was like a murder mystery type story. But it kept me, like, my brain engaged a lot more in the evening. I had all kinds of weird dreams. And I told my husband, I'm like, we have to finish this in the afternoon on Sunday because I don't want to watch it again before bed because it just kept me so triggered in the evening with my brain being on. So anyway, just experiment with these things. And then time-restricted eating or time-restricted fasting, which again is eating within a 10-hour window. Give your body the ability to digest and get into that relaxed state. And what else do we have? I think that was it. But anyway, pick one of these things. Pick the thing that you think might be the most important to you. Oh, sleep routine, getting yourself into like similar bedtimes and wake times. and practice it. See like if some of these supplements help, see if the liver cleanse supplement helps, see if moving your caffeine window up helps. Implement one or two things at a time and find what works best for you. And there's a lot of people that will be able to handle a lot of things like scrolling later in the night. Some people can and some people can't. And there's some people that, again, can handle melatonin. Some people can't. There are so many different like varieties of magnesium that may help some and not help others. But all of these things, like if you are struggling, all of these things need to be tested, and give it a good like 4 to 6 weeks of testing time, unless you're having like really negative biofeedback, like sleep gets worse, you're inflamed, you're bloated, you're constipated, any of those things like shouldn't be happening, because magnesium also helps with digestion. But again, if you have really negative biofeedback, obviously discontinue sooner. But none of the things that I mentioned should cause any sort of interruptions to the system. It should just help promote better gut health, better quality sleep, and better circadian rhythm balance, which is what we need to have great sleep. And then whatever you can do to reduce stressors. I'll tell you too, if you are highly stressed before you go to bed, journaling can help. Getting it out, and you want to bring things up, or you're ruminating thoughts. If that's you, and that's been me in the past, just jotting some stuff down, or if you like have a looming deadline or whatever the case may be, having a list of things to do tomorrow, checking your schedule, making sure that you are set up for success the next day can definitely help with winding down the night before. So anyway, I hope that this was helpful. I hope I gave you guys some good ideas to manage your sleep a little bit better, to work on some sleep health and gut health, because all of that stuff is going to go together. Most of our feel-good hormones are also made in our gut, which I have said before. So if we're having anxiety and all those things, like it could be a gut health related issue too. So we want to make sure that is all happy and healthy. And lastly, I'm going to leave you with this. Try not to drink caffeine on an empty stomach, especially if you're very anxiety prone. So have something like a Greek yogurt real quick before you have that first cup of coffee in the morning. You get a little protein, you get a little carbs, you get a little probiotics. It's going to be something that's good in the belly and quick to eat. You can eat it like while the coffee is brewing, and then just have your cup of coffee and go about your day. All of these things are going to promote, again, more balanced hormones, better circadian rhythm, better gut health, and an overall better quality of life for everybody, which is what I want for you and for me, for all of us. Anyway, hopefully this was helpful. I hope that you guys all have a great rest of your Tuesday. As always, if you have any health, mindset, wellness, exercise, fat loss, maintenance, any of those questions or any topics that you'd like covered, please feel free to shoot me a message and let me know what you want covered on Energy Shift in the upcoming weeks. If you ever want to come on the show, if you want me to talk to you specifically about your personal health and wellness goals, I would love to do that as well. We can kind of have a troubleshoot session back and forth. If you are somebody who has crushed and dominated some of your own health and wellness goals, and you just want to be a sounding board and a good, influence and all of those good things, send some good positive vibes out into the Mom Nation universe, you can come on here and share your story as well. So reach out. I would love to have you. I hope you all have a wonderful Tuesday, and we will see you next week.